learn about what they do today in our community, and we're going to hear from Jenna. I was telling Jenna before the service, here at Zion, if you've been around here for a while, we definitely believe that what we can do on earth here, it matters about eternity. That eternity is connected to the now. That we know that when Jesus walked out of the grave, it was his body had the scars. God took the body that Jesus had and made it new again. Jesus was the firstborn from the dead. He was the firstborn of creation. And that is what our future will look like. So what we do here on earth matters. It's not like we have a future where the Bible does not teach that God's just going to destroy everything and it doesn't really matter what we do and we're just going to get out of here. That's not how it is. God is going to make what is new again, just like he made Jesus' body new again. And so because of that, when we see people like the Loft doing what they're doing, which we'll learn about, we want to be a part of that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to learn about what they do. So Jen, if you're ready to get started, you can come on up.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Jen.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to set my computer up, so let me just take a minute here, because I'm going to use a PowerPoint to kind of guide us through a little bit about what the Loft does. Let's stay plugged in. See light. There we go. Coming back to us. Well, I do want to start by saying that this is probably the most kids in one room that I've walked into in a very long time, and I'm very happy to see that. You guys are the hope that we have for the future, and the congregation where we are up at St. Paul, there's only about 2 children, so this is a little bit refreshing for me to see you all here. So I will share a little bit about the Loft Community Partnership, and who I am and who we are as an organization as well. So thank you all for having me. The Loft is actually right up the street. We're housed at St. Paul Lutheran Church. I just learned that St. Paul and Zion used to have a baseball team together. It was the St. Paul Lutheran Zion baseball team.
That's right, and way back, we shared the same building where the coffee shop bank is on that other corner.
That's amazing.
The Moravians and the Reformed, we were, and the Lutherans had a common building.
Oh, wow.
And then they all went their own ways.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting, because Matt and I were talking in the beginning about, the Loft doesn't identify itself as a religious based organization, because we all came together, or the founders all came together with a common theme of having God placed on their hearts and this work placed on their hearts. So there was not necessarily a strong desire for them to define it, because they knew that this was what they were called to do. And so we aren't affiliated with any specific church or organization. We're housed at St. Paul Lutheran Church. So we also have a furniture bank at West Willow United Memorial, West Willow United Memorial Church. Almost out towards 272. It's back in those little housing developments there. So we are kind of growing our reach into many different churches and working together. That's why we call ourselves a community partnership. We're not just one organization or one group of people. We are many working together to serve the community. So we're grateful to be here with you all. So I'm just going to start with real quick who I am and who the Loft is. I am Jenna. I grew up right outside of Quarryville, Pennsylvania, in New Providence. Went to Solanco. My grandmother was Dottie of Dottie's Snack Bar. If you've ever had a really delicious cheesesteak from Dottie's, that was where I grew up. So my upbringing really surrounded food and community, because from the minute I could squeeze a ketchup bottle, I was putting ketchup on your cheeseburgers. And I really loved being a part of that, because it was a way to connect in a good gathering space for the Quarryville community. Many memories of baseball teams there as well. The Dottie's baseball team used to rock a good tournament, you know, every season. So that was really what I grew up, you know, encompassed in and surrounded by. My grandmother was very active in her church, and that was Memorial United Methodist in Quarryville. And she did a lot of behind-the-scenes community service and service to the Lord that nobody really always knew about her. They thought she's cheesesteaks and ice cream, but she was really feeding people, and she followed her mission and what was on her heart every day. She drove people to, you know, doctor's appointments, took care of her friends, made sure everybody felt welcome around whatever table that they were at. So that's where I come from, and how I ended up here was I went to school for my master's in social work at Millersville, and kind of got absorbed into this community as well. So the Loft actually serves, so you can see our logo here, it defines who we serve with food, clothing, furniture, and support. So we cover Manor, Millersville, Conestoga, Petway. I think it's interesting, we're kind of learning that our heart, the heart that beats out into the community, is right here in Millersville. Since we're housed up at St. Paul, a lot of the really big work and the meetings and the things that are bringing everybody together, the heart of the organization comes here. But now you can see that we're reaching out into Petway Township with the Furniture Bank. We have Martic Pantry and Martic Pantry Clothing Bank. The Loft hosts a clothing bank down there at Martic Pantry as well. Martic Pantry does its own food service, but we were able to put some clothes and get that up and running down there. So we're kind of housed here in Millersville, and we're trying to build up the strong heart that beats out into the community, if that makes sense. So yeah, here's some of our partners. We partner with Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. We get a lot of our food from them since the demand for food has increased. And food insecurity has increased since the pandemic. We really found it beneficial to partner with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. We work with Hetty's Hope Chest. Hetty's Hope Chest is an interesting organization. They provide diapers for all Penn Manor families in need of diapers. Diapers are a high-cost item for families, and it's one of the things that people in lower income and poverty will stop buying as much or skimp on because of the cost, and especially when you have young kids. It just adds up, especially if there's multiple young kids as well. So she identified this need and this little niche to fill, and we partner with her. So we get our diapers from her, and we give them out once a month at the Loft as well. But any Penn Manor family that needs diapers can get them through Hetty's. We have the Loft Community Kitchen. Joy Alcott is the head of that, and she volunteers with us, and she also volunteers with every other organization in the area. She stays busy, but she is very passionate about healthy food and eating. So she comes to the Loft when we are giving away our food, and she'll do recipes and samples like Costco. You know, like when you go into Costco, you get a sample. She does that for our families that come to the Loft, and it's a really awesome thing. A couple weeks ago, she did hot dog octopuses, and she put them on a little thing of noodles that were green, and it looked like the hot dog was in the ocean. It was really cute. So she tries to make things fun, and we use what we have coming to us food-wise to do that. So she's amazing. So I just wanted to mention her. This is our first year in the Extra Give. We got in about a week before, so we were very unprepared on how to do it. But we just did our best, and we're happy to be involved in that and raise some money that way as well. Additional partners. So there's many levels of partnering with us, and so those were just some of the, the other partners, but we give away food. So you think we have to have food partners as well. So some of our very strong food partners are all very local organizations. So Pineview Dairy, we get all of our milk from there. Right now we're serving between 200 and 250 families every single week with food. So that's a lot of milk. we have somebody every week that volunteers to go to Pineview Dairy and Shine Produce and pick up our milk. They bring it in trucks. Just some nice men with trucks from the neighborhood, and I said, hey, I have time to go get your milk. So we bring in milk from Pineview. They're the best price, and we love to support local. So John Herr's Village Market, Stouffer's, Home Fields is right down the street. If you don't know about Home Fields, you should definitely check that out. It's a cooperative farm. They employ people with intellectual disabilities, and they also just do such great work in the community as well. So we get some of our produce from them too. Kellogg's, Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, and then Community Action Partnership of Lancaster. So these are just some of the food partners that we have. It takes a whole lot, it takes a village, literally, to make this happen every week, and it's a very dedicated group of people. So this is just the idea that the Loft had to start somehow, right? And I was telling Matt earlier that, all these people that came together, they came together because this is what God put on their hearts. And how do we kind of bring that in and make it work for the community? So we had some of our founders identify that the problem they were having was getting resources to families right here in Penn Manor. You can point to Lancaster City and say, you can go there and get this, 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 and this. But why do we send people from our community that have need all the way outside of the community to a different community when we can try and figure that out right here? That's where the Loft was started. It was started with people who were salvaging food and preventing it from going to waste and bringing it back into the community and getting it out to people that needed it. So we do that with Panera. So at 9 o'clock every Tuesday night, 9 p.m., when Panera closes its doors, some of our very dedicated volunteers go out at 9 p.m. Not me. Not me. I'm fast asleep at that time. They go rescue the bread. And last year we found out that we rescued $22,000 worth of Panera products and got it back to people right here in our community. Bread, muffins, bagels, like nice treats, that you wouldn't always get. So that was something that kind of started the Loft. It was all these people that were like, we can find food and get it to our own community members that need it. So the idea was that they could just kind of keep doing this as like a response team kind of a group. So they were responding to the need whenever it would arise. But as the pandemic started, it became necessary to become official because so many people in this community rose to help. Money was being sent in and they thought, okay, now we have to be a real nonprofit because people want to get involved and help. So as a real nonprofit, we're only 3 years old, but as a group, a founders group, they've been doing this work for probably 10 to 15 years in this community. So what work had to be done before starting the Loft? A lot, and that's a lot of the work we're still doing, and why I'm going around too and talking to different groups, because we are still figuring out who we are and how do we do this. So one of the things that had to be done before the Loft started was just identifying what services are the most needed and what should we provide. And it was clear that food as a basic need in our community was where we would start. So just like the table and how I talked about my grandmother and everything centering around food, community can be built around food, and that's what we thought. We thought we'd have some potlucks and we'd have some of these types of things. Everybody brings a shared dish, but we also knew that there was people in our community that needed the groceries and the actual support in that way. So, all right. So the Loft today. What is the Loft today? So we are a community partnership. So we serve the community. Our interests are in service to our community, and we also are interested in partnering. So partnerships. We feel that not one organization can do everything together, but the stronger our individual partnerships are together, the more the ties bind us together, the more that we can accomplish to make the community a better place. So that's why we are named that. We're an organization that is still finding its way and defining itself in many ways. We are an organization that is outgrowing some things just because of the need being increased. I just found out last week that the need for food is back almost to pandemic levels. So it's 5% lower than it was during the height of the pandemic when people were really in need of food. So we've kind of circled back around in this way. So we are growing, and that's not necessarily a great thing because the need is growing. However, We really want to make sure that we are responding to the need in a way that gives people security and having their basic needs met. So we know that people can grow and thrive when they're not worried about where their next meal is coming from or the roof over their head. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We know the need is growing, and we're here to figure it out and keep moving forward with that. So this is who we are right now. There's only 2 paid employees, me and the bookkeeper, Gail Bowerstocks. So we have a 11-team board membership board here, and I was telling Matt that all these people, a lot of them came together on the common ground of wanting to do what was put on their heart, and that everybody's a person of faith. So it's kind of like we don't necessarily have to define ourselves right now because we are all here for a very much similar reason. And then our volunteers as well. We have a very committed team of volunteers. Probably all of them almost would be retired teachers from Penn Manor and School District of Lancaster. So we have, the value of that is just beyond measure to me because these are people who already wanted to serve their community through education, and now they're people who want to serve their community through food and service, and in the retirement they're hanging out with me, which is, I'm like, this is great. So yeah, that's who we are right now. We're still small, but mighty, and we know that we can stay small and stay mighty as long as we surround ourselves with other committed partners. So what do we currently offer? So I talked a lot about food. That is our heart and soul and the kind of what drives us forward. However, we also offer a really nice clothing bank at St. Paul Lutheran Church. We just recently got space at Memorial United Methodist in Willis Street for a furniture bank. We work really closely with the school social workers to get these items out to families when they identify a need right away. A lot of times we'll get a phone call from one of the social workers that says, we have a family that's moving this weekend and they don't have any furniture, and so we will kind of try to jump and get a team together to go get furniture from our furniture bank. We'll always take donations. We say if you would sell it, then we'll take it. If it's something that's nice enough that you would sell it or give it to somebody else, then we're glad to take it off your hands and put it in the furniture bank. So we have clothing, furniture, food, and then I am a licensed social worker as well, so I'm kind of wearing 2 hats, director and social worker, so I can kind of help with some counseling, case management, and things like that for families so that they don't feel like we are just giving them these items and sending them on their way. We really want to bring people in and find out what else they need and how else we can support. So we are looking to do more gatherings, community events, things like that. We're going to a Barnstormers game in August. We're looking at having a big community day where we invite all churches and other organizations to come. And we'll kind of host it and let everybody showcase what they do. All right, so this is important just because, I think it shows the scope. So I was on vacation in Tennessee, and we had the most people come through that we've ever had come through in one week, 245 households. So that's a number, right? It's just a number, but I think it helps when we understand the impact. So 245 Penn Manor households local to this community, that equates to 341 children that were impacted by our food services in 1 week. So 41 Penn Manor kids received groceries from us that week. 375 adults and 100 seniors. And our number of seniors getting services continues to grow. We probably serve almost everybody on Lee Avenue, everybody in any senior living facility or senior living community local. We likely are giving them food, or we would like to find them and get food to them if they have the need. So I think when we put it that way, that 341 children were impacted by our food and groceries in 1 week, it helps kind of really put that into perspective for everybody. So we've been consistent in serving over 200 families for over a year now, and that's a week. So it's busy. We do this in a 6-hour time period. So Wednesdays, we basically take over St. Paul Lutheran Church, which they are so gracious about, but we get deliveries that start coming at 8:30 in the morning, the food trucks, the Central Pennsylvania trucks, the trucks from CAP, the milk, all these different things start coming, and we set up a store. So we take the church lobby and we make it into a store. It's a pop-up. I like to call it the pop-up pantry. So that is a way to spend Wednesdays, every Wednesday, with an average volunteer age of 67. This is us unloading food, 67 years old, that's the average volunteer age, unloading trucks, and that's what I mean when I say it takes a village. We really have a wonderful team of people that come every week dedicated and do this to pull it off. I mean, we have our food costs to 9 cents per pound right now this past year. So our cost is extremely low as well because we have a dedicated volunteer, Nancy, who manages it just so well. And she finds all the deals she can and gets all the free things she possibly can. She's like an extreme couponer, but for the food pantry. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that. So in March, you can see that 3,000, me and numbers don't do well together. 3,679 individuals were impacted by the Loft food services. So almost, if we round up, 3,700 people. So that's what I say when I say we are growing and changing and ever changing. We definitely will continue to meet the need, and we don't want to have to scale back our services because we know that it is creating food security in our community. Everybody talks about food insecurity and not having enough and hunger, but we are helping to just really make this better for people so that they can continue to grow and reach their next goals in life. And then the bottom one there is families and children experiencing homelessness. We have over 100 youth experiencing homelessness in Penn Manor School District. So these are families that will serve no matter where they are. You know, if they're staying at Water Street Rescue Mission, we will make sure they get food through delivery. If they are relocated to another district, but the child continues at Penn Manor, we will still make sure they get food. Because to us, they're still part of this community, whether their housing, status says so or not. Not a lot of times it's not by choice that these children are impacted in this way, so it's not their choice. That's the one thing I know. It's never a child's choice to become homeless. So we want to make sure that that child's family continues to get food, regardless of where they are. All right, so then I just put a couple pictures of our volunteers up there and some different things. Down in the corner there, in the right-hand corner, you can see me and then a little girl. She made bracelets. She's at Conestoga Elementary School. She made bracelets and did a bracelet sale and raised $300 for the Loft, and it was just really sweet. It was around Christmas time, and I was so excited. They asked if I would come meet with her, and it was one of the most heartwarming things that she just said, I'm gonna do this, and she did it at her age. So you guys can do anything that you wanna put your mind to. I'm telling you, like if you say you wanna try something like that, I'm glad to help support it because she was so proud, and it just set such a good example for her classmates that she did that, and she got a couple awards for it and things like that. So we have Miss Jody here in the corner. She's our diaper lady, but she's also our doer of many things. She helps give away the diapers and keeps track of families that need them, keeps the list current, and loads them in her car every week or every month and gets them out there, and she just keeps that running along with the food pantry as well. In the center there, the heart, Deb Meckley, she was one of the founders and social workers at Penn Manor. Above her, there's the varsity basketball team. We had them volunteer during their basketball season, which was really fun. They helped, just do some heavy lifting, and I got to teach them a little bit about food and security in their own community. They were super engaged, and so yeah, we are all about relationships and connections, making sure that we make them and continue to nourish them. Reciprocity, so our kind of, one of our ideas is that you can give what you have and take what you need. And we apply that to everybody. Not just, that applies to me as a person in the organization. I can give my time, my expertise as a director, my leadership skills, and then from there I can walk home with a gallon of milk if I'm short on milk that week, or I can get somebody's inspirational message that really needed at that time. I can, so we really believe in reciprocity in relationships, is that you can give something, even if it's just a piece of yourself, and you can get something in return, and the circle continues, and we really believe in that at the Loft. We make sure that we maintain dignity for people, suspend judgment, and just keep our hearts pure that way. Dignity, people say they come to the Loft and they feel better when they leave. Of course they have food, so that feels great. Your groceries are kind of more, your grocery bill's a little lower than it would have been, but we also give you a smile. Hey, how was your party with your cousin last week? Oh, when's that surgery you have coming up? Those types of check-ins, especially with seniors and people that live alone, it just means everything. And I know there's a lot of people that come and say that this is where they get their social interaction, and their spirits are better when they leave. So that's where we say dignity is a big piece of what we do. Community care. So we believe, just as Jesus believed, that community, everything surrounds the community that we walk in and that we live in. And to build something like a community in that way, that it's what we think makes this world on earth a little bit better and a little bit more, I wouldn't say tolerable, but you mentioned all the things earlier that are going on health-wise and all these struggles. If we didn't check in on each other, if we didn't have community, all those things would feel like you're so much more out on an island alone. But that's what we believe, that community supports us and lifts us up. And then we will always strive to meet people's basic needs. We've kind of had this history in our country and our world of thinking that people should drive themselves into the ground and work hard. And yeah, of course, we should all work hard. Hard work's great. But hard work is easier to do with a full belly and a roof over your head. So we've identified that we will always advocate for people's basic needs to be met as easily as possible so that they can move towards their next goals in life. And then the future for the Loft. So, I skipped ahead. All right. We will be a community organization that's responsive to the needs of the whole community. We want to make sure we're including everybody and that nobody gets left behind. And that means reaching out and figuring out who is the community of Penn Manor and who are we missing and who haven't we found yet. What seniors do I need to go knock on their door and say, hey, have you heard about us? We give you food. So we want to make sure we're finding everybody in the community that has a need. We'll be human-centered and person-centered. For us, lots of things in the policies in the past of social services were not always centered on the human or the person or the dignity of those people. We will always make sure that we're centering dignity and the person and the people are at the center of why we do what we do. We're going to be starting our own client committee where clients are actually going to meet with us and come to a covered dish, a meal, and we will provide childcare, and we just want to get feedback from people, like what works for you, what can we do, and we're thinking about this change, how does that feel for you? And then that lets us be informed by the clients and the people that we're serving in the community. So yeah, we will also, like I said before, always make sure that barriers to meeting people's basic needs are lower, that they're not, jumping through red fiery hoops just to get some extra groceries or support or housing. All right, so how you can help, I always have to plug this in at the end. We always need volunteers, the give what you have, take what you need. Whether you're willing to give your expertise in an area, it takes a lot to develop and run an entire organization. A lot of brains working together, a lot of expertise, and a lot of dedication. So not one of us can do all the things, right? Even though us moms and parents, and we like to think we can do all the things. and we try to do all the things sometimes. You know, I'm not a tech expert. I'm not an expert in, you know, developing certain types of programs. But if you have something that you would like to offer that's an area of expertise, we're always open to that. Right now, I said we're growing, one of the issues that we're running into is space. We're outgrowing a little bit of our space up at St. Paul, which is why we're starting to make kind of these outposts of, you know, the furniture bank is somewhere else. We have a clothing bank in Mardick. We want to be able to look at that map of the area and almost say that the Loft, and we have services here, 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 here. We would love to put red dots across the community to say that people can access this here, here, here. And again, from Millersville, we think that this is where like our heart is and our where we need to mostly be doing some of this kind of work. And but yeah, so shared space, partnership development, expertise, financial donations, and if none of those things sit with you, we will always welcome prayer, goodwill, wishes, kind statements. You know, so often we have people who are very quick to speak up and say, I didn't like this, and this was terrible. If there's anything in the world that we kind of need more of right now, it's kindness and boosts of encouragement. So even if you're talking to somebody out in the community and you say, hey, that girl from the Loft came and she spoke at church and this, and this, did you know they're doing that? Anything that you can do to just share the word, that really means a lot to us. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about it. So there's lots of ways to get in touch and to reach out. We are right up the street, so I'm usually there like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. I'm here on Sundays now too. I mean, so please reach out, walk up anytime. If you'd like to see the food distribution and process, you can always walk up on a Wednesday and just kind of check that out as well. Heavy lifters on Wednesdays. If you ever want to send up any heavy lifters, young people with muscles on Wednesdays, I'm sure our volunteer team would appreciate that. Usually it's me jumping in the back of trucks with the bum knee, trying to get the milk out, that kind of stuff. So we would love to get some more kiddos involved that can just help move things around and shift some things. So, yeah, that's where we're at. So that is all. Thank you so much for having me and welcoming me into this warm, lovely space. Thank you. Should we do that? Yeah.
Question, Jenna, if you were interested in volunteering, like what's the process involved to becoming a volunteer? Is there any...
So you can always just Google the Loft Community Partnership. You can Google the Loft Community Partnership, and we have a whole section dedicated to how you can help on our website. You can sign up, do the volunteer application on there, and then the things we do require for if you're going to be like front of house or front facing, we call it, meaning you'll have interaction with the families, clients, kids, is that you get 2 of the clearances. And then if you'll do the food, we also do a little quick civil rights training. It is very brief. It just because we use Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, we do require that. If you would like to do some of the behind the scenes work, you can just do the volunteer application, and you and I will talk about what kinds of things you would like to do that might be behind the scenes, such as milk, organizing the rooms, doing some of that kind of stuff. It doesn't always have to be out with people. I know some people are still a little bit worried too about just different illnesses going around. So we are trying to get more creative with options. So Google us, look at the volunteer page. It's a great place to start. So.
Well, thank you, Jenna. I know we here at Zion, I'm going to say that we're going to, on our website, if you want to give to the Loft, we're going to put an option. If we do online giving, we're going to place an option there for you guys to give to the Loft, and we'll send the money to them. Also, we have had for many, many years, down in our entryway there's a food bank closet. We used to gather food for, which food bank was it?
It was actually there was one over at the community BIC, which is the predecessor of you guys.
Yeah, okay. So we are gonna, if God puts it on your heart or mind today, to begin to do that, we would like to begin collecting food down there in our food bank closet, and Nan has volunteered to deliver it weekly, or however often it makes sense to deliver it.
She needs
to
heavy
the lot.
lifters to help her.
She will need heavy lifters too. So yeah, and I'm assuming, is there a list on your website of types of food that you can donate?
We don't have anyone on there right now, but it's really a lot of your classic types.
Classic
of
food
fun.
bank.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
would
very
be
good.
great.
Okay. All right, I think, and as I was telling Jenna earlier, and when I introduced Jenna, you know, work like this is something that is very worthwhile. And you know, when we talk about being Christians in this world, yes, it's about, we want people to know Jesus. We want them to know the freedom and the love of God. And at the same time, we are embodied human beings. We live in a body and we have needs. We also live in a creation that is made of physical things. And God loves, our ultimate hope is not to be spirits floating on a cloud playing harps somewhere. It is to be, God is going to make creation new again. And we're going to be in physical bodies just like Jesus was. What did Jesus do after he came out of the grave? What was one of the first things he did?
Breakfast.
He ate.
Made breakfast.
He ate. And yes, it was the same body, because he said to Thomas, look at my hands and feel the scar on my side. And that is what we will be in the new heaven and new earth. We will be walking around in bodies, and the very body of creation, creation's body, so to speak, will be made new again, just like ours. And so work like this at the Loft, it's important, and it matters, and it carries into eternity. And so that's kind of why we wouldn't have Janet here today to talk about the Loft. And we would like to get more involved in it as a body here. So it help think about it, pray about it this week. Look, you can volunteer. It looks like there's a great need for strong backs and young people to help unload trucks. Money, I'm sure money is always welcome. Food donations. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, Janet, for coming. So I will close out our service, and that is all we have today for this Church Family Sunday. So thanks everybody for coming. God, we thank you so much for who you are. We thank you for your wonderful creation. We thank you for the hope that we have for our future with you when the new Jerusalem comes down out of heaven to this earth, and heaven and earth are once again using up the same space. And we thank you that as we feed people and help people, that we can become part of that new heaven and new earth, that new Jerusalem, where one day we will all live at peace, and there will be that you will wipe all the tears from our eyes, and the lion will lay down with the lamb, as Isaiah writes about. So we thank you for who you are. Thank you for the hope that we have, and that we can join in that work right now. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Dismissed.